Going to call our meeting to order. It is now 7:07 p.m. Members present?
Marie Brizuela.
Here.
Maybelle Monio.
Here.
Clayton Koo.
Here.
Manufo Leah Inga Anawai.
Here. Now we have our, do we still call someone who's not present?
We have in the past and we just, okay, fine. Everything changes.
Thank you. Right now we have the Pledge of Allegiance by Woodrow Wilson Elementary School. Please join us at the podium. Thank you. Thank you, Woodrow Wilson. At this time, we will briefly review our board meeting guidelines. All right. Thank you. So now I'd like to ask if we have a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda for tonight's meeting.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
So before we move on to our public hearing, I did want to mention that sometimes we don't have everyone at the end of the meeting, but we will be closing our meeting in memory of Miss Harriet Jones. So we definitely wanted to share that with everyone here. So at this time, we will move towards our public hearing. And this is an open hearing, excuse me, an open hearing to review and approve a resolution on the district's sufficiency of pupils' textbooks. The governing board of the Jefferson Elementary School District will hear public comments on the resolution stating sufficiency of textbooks and instructional materials at every school for the 2018-19 school year to ensure it's consistent with their alignment to state content standards and most recent adoption cycles. At this time, we have, is this for no? Okay, thank you. So we have now opened this up at 7:10 p.m. We have no comments, no feedback. No feedback? All right, we will now close the hearing at 7:10.5 p.m. Thank you. All right, moving forward, we have a special presentation by America Scores, which is a program at Woodrow Wilson Elementary School, and our staff and students will share their partnership. America Scores.
Would you like us to face this way, or would you like us to face this way? Towards you. Well, myself and Coach Oliver, Coach Mike, as well as Coach Marie, she's sitting down right now. We are the coaches of Woodrow Wilson's America Scores program. Our first slide says we are America Scores Bay Area. So we are what? That's a good question, right? Well, Oliver, you want to take this one?
Yeah, so we're based with poetry and story-based learning. So a lot of our 1st to 5th graders, they actually learn poetry as one of the main enrichments for our program. It helps them, build a lot more, educational backgrounds compared to just focusing on soccer. So we'd like to have that as well. We also have homework time for about an hour. We also introduced them Lexia time. So as you can see here, they do have computers. We've donated some computers for the team, and they actually learn Lexia. They have a bunch of other programs for them to continue about 45 minutes a day or 2 days a week.
Awesome. One thing that we are doing is we're cultivating community. Recently, we just got our Field of Dreams through multiple donations, and we love to say thank you to all those in Daly City that were a public partnership with us to help us get that. Brought some nice greenery to Woodrow Wilson, and our students appreciate this field so much. Even the families on the weekend have been enjoying our field since it's been installed. So it's been incredible for us to have on our campus. One thing these students all understand as they go in, we call it the 3 golden rules, but for presentation purposes, we say value one another. But can we say what one of the golden rules are?
Be honest.
Awesome.
No put downs. And keep our hands and feet to ourselves.
With America's Scores, we believe that these 3 golden rules will help teach these students how to referee themselves on and off the field, how to problem solve, and how to navigate through problem solutions with one another on campus and on the field. Because one thing about our program is that we do not have referees on game day. So they navigate through problem solving on their own.
This is my select team from last year. Consisted of 3rd to 5th graders. And it's funny because we actually had some more 5th graders, now 6th graders, from a couple of schools come by just to help us out. So it's really nice for them to still, be involved in the program.
And then team juniors, actually I have 2 juniors from last year who are now part of Select, David and Maya. They were part of the juniors, which are our 1st and 2nd graders. So it's wonderful to have them and to see how they develop in their skill, not only in literacy, but also in athleticism. So, and our trajectory is developing students to appreciate nutrition, literacy, and community. Each are an imperative to our child's upbringing. We just happen to be doing it with soccer balls. That's our presentation. Any questions?
Questions or feedback from the board?
Okay. Oh, you want to go first? All right, well, thank you for coming out. Some of you may know that I actually went to Woodrow Wilson School when I was in 2nd grade. So I'm happy to see the improvements that were made. We've been talking about green space and how we need it there, so we have it. I'm glad to hear that, as usual, our community is using the space. That's a common theme at all of our schools, that people use the schools on the weekends. And thanks for coming to present to us tonight. And I like the fact that it's a balanced program, that it's not just about physical education, but also the social, emotional learning. And keep up the great work.
Thank you so much.
So I'd like to ask each of you, what did you like the best about the field? What did you like the best?
Stand right here, bud. Okay. Just say
Close
that.
to, go to the microphone. There
And
you
we
go.
got grass.
All right.
So we won't get hurt that much.
All right. Good, good.
That we can have fun even if we're not actually on a team, that we could still play at school during recess and like PE and stuff.
Great. Thank you. I just want to say thank you for coming also tonight. And you guys are great. And I was able to go to see the ribbon cutting, or the whatever we called it that day. And everybody was so enthused and excited that I was excited too. Because I always looked at that school as not having any grass. And I really wish they did have something, and now you do. So thank you for being excellent and learning all the things you have to learn, because that's really what it's all about, learning. Okay. And thank you to all of you for participating, and to our principal. She's awesome too. And she's bragging about it all the time to us. So, and I know it took a lot of community people together to help do it, but that's what it is. It's a community school. Yes. Okay.
Do we have any other comments or feedback from the board?
I just wanted to say thank you guys for coming and addressing us and presenting your presentation. It was great, and I know it takes a lot of courage to come up here and speak, so thank you guys for coming.
I want to echo the words of my colleagues to say thanks for coming tonight, and it's great to hear that the students are actually enjoying the field a lot. It looks like a great field. I just kind of wish I was able to go to that ribbon cutting event, but I look forward to just kind of taking a look at it, and I just want to thank all the teachers and staff at Woodrow Wilson for kind of making this program a success, and just kind of look forward to seeing how it goes in the future as well. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, we have a few certificates that we like to present to you, but
So you mentioned that there's no referees when you play. Are they playing against other classrooms, other
Each other.
grades?
Yes, so our season starts next Saturday, October 20th, and we compete against other America Score schools.
Okay.
Ah.
It's at Crocker Park.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Crocker Amazon. So we
Okay.
are, as coaches, parents, and players, all facilitate, but we allow our, doing the floss right now.
Okay.
We allow our players to do the facilitation.
Okay. So that leads to my next question: is how has that been going? Maybe even one of the students could tell me how is it playing soccer without having the referee, and then the students resolving conflicts on their own? How does that work out?
I don't really know.
Do you like it?
Yeah,
Does it cause problems or does it work?
it works.
What makes it work?
What makes it work? Why does it work?
Like, instead of the referee helping, like, we can solve it on our own, and then it's, like, over and done with. So it's like we don't have to come back to it again.
it's awesome.
Sounds great. All right.
Sounds like a leader.
Okay, thank you.
But I think, I'm going to put my 2 cents in. I think that what you're teaching, what they're learning, what the values are, is what's probably helping them too. So keep up the values.
Yeah, thank you. We appreciate the commitment to serve and to be a significant part of our students' lives. I had a question about the schedule. Are we able to access that?
Yeah, we can definitely provide it on the.
That would be
Woodrow
great.
Wilson website.
So when we're available, we can come out and support our
Yeah,
team,
yes.
especially when they're at Crocker,
Yeah.
outside of our district.
Yeah. We only do
In the
team,
super.
so-
Oh, you're always at Crocker. You're not playing at. None of the games are held here.
All
Oh, okay.
games will be at Crocker. Amazon.
Okay.
But they
But it would be great
practice,
to
they
share the.
practice a little bit, right?
The
You
schedule
guys
would be
practice a
awesome.
little bit at,
We practice at Woodrow.
Woodrow,
play at
yeah.
Crocker.
Okay.
which is good.
Yeah, I'm glad that you guys get to enjoy that field too.
Yes.
That's awesome. So we have a few certificates that we'd like to share with you, and we also have some for some of the students that aren't here this evening. So we'll start to our left and
Forgot what my left was.
All right.
But you can say, say and he can take it back to the principal.
Certificate of Appreciation for David Olano.
And I have a certificate of appreciation for participation in the flag ceremony and special presentation for Jocelyn Conrad. And I think she's not here. So may I give it to you? Oh, yeah, sure. Thank you.
So I think I have her other half, Jacqueline, Calderon, so if you don't mind sharing this with her as well. So thank you and congratulations, and I think I recognize your last name. You're connected to Vicky.
Yes.
Great leadership.
These coaches have been awesome. They're working, Oliver works all day, then does coaching, and Danny then hosts our PTA after all of the games. after all the practices, so like we're super lucky.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Appreciate
guys.
it. Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.
Yeah.
She's amazing. Thank you again. Take care. Now we move on to our communications, and we have now board member acknowledgements and commendations, and we'll start here.
Sure. So last Monday, I attended the Jefferson Council PTA Principal and President's Dinner. Everyone did a great job. Want to thank Sharon Murphy and everybody else at the PTA for hosting a great event. And I also wanted to add a PSA for October as National Bullying Prevention Month. I just wanted to raise awareness about that, and that today is actually also Mental Health Awareness Day, I think, as well too. So I just wanted to raise awareness about that. And if you guys need, anyone needs resources, services, they can go online and find that as well too.
Trustee Manuel?
Yes, I also went to the principal and president, I guess, dinner meeting that happened on Monday, and I think everybody did a great job there as well. And I also wanted to thank, actually, Victoria from the Ben Franklin PTA for letting me even know about it. Because, yeah. So I just also wanted to thank Sharon Murphy, too. She did a great job up there.
Awesome. Thank you. Trustee Brusuela?
Same thing. I went to the PTA Council Principal and President's Dinner and made some of the food. And we all worked really hard together, and they're amazing, the group, what they can put together, and all the little decorations and to honor everybody. So we enjoyed that. Trying to think of what else that we might have gone to. I know there's something I'm probably forgetting. But anyway, that's it for right now.
Thank you. Trustee Ali?
No.
Thank you. I'm sorry that I had missed that dinner. I saw that it was a great celebration. I actually was able to attend with our superintendent how educators can create trauma-informed systems in their schools, in their school communities. And this was the part of their 5th annual education conference. And it was a collaboration with San Francisco Unified and San Mateo County Office of Ed, specifically with Carrie Dubois leading it on from her board. And I wasn't sure what to expect of it, but I would say that I had a lot of takeaways. It was very moving and inspiring, but I think what I loved the most was the commitment of the staff that were there, and their commitment to learn more about what is happening and participate in the trainings, not just to know and learn and teach it and bring it back, but they're really invested in ensuring that our students are safe. And what I love is that they believe in the concepts that are in place. And I love that Jefferson Elementary continues to be celebrated. I love that. I say it all the time. And I attended a few other meetings in the district around San Mateo County being a pilot for oral health. And what I loved at that meeting as well is they talked about how they're advancing this pilot in comparison to what they already do in school-based programs. And throughout the whole county, they said Jefferson Elementary School District continues to be the partner. So I get that we get overwhelmed with people that come to our district of asking for us to be a part of something. But for me, I take great pride in that, because they come to us because they know that we have staff and administrators and teachers and families and a board that really cares about partnerships that matter. And especially when we speak to oral health, this is California Smiles is kicking off their initiative as of today, and that serves a lot of our families that have Medi-Cal or are low income or underinsured or not insured. And it's important that they're aware that there are these resources available to them. So I've been to 3 meetings this week, and when they talked about school-based initiatives, some of them didn't even know that I was connected to Jefferson Elementary, and they were like, so we just wanted to mention Jefferson Elementary School District, and of course, I'm the only one in the room that stands up cheering because everyone is South County heavy. So again, we're working on that. So I just want to commend everyone that is doing great things in our community. And I also want to extend a huge thank you for honoring my father at the last meeting. It meant a lot for me. I apologize for not being present at that meeting. And it was very moving to receive a card from a lot of the staff. And I did want to share at this time that he was just, I would not be here serving in this capacity if it wasn't for his advocacy and his leadership. He was the first out of his village, out of a territory of American Samoa, which is a territory like Puerto Rico and Guam to the United States. And he was the first to come out of his village and go to York College in Boston. You have an island boy who usually wears a skirt who comes out to America and puts on a pair of pants and goes to school with people who do not look like him or speak his language. And then he decided to make San Francisco his home. And through him, 24 churches were established, choral programs, and school-based initiatives in Bayview in choir and music were established through him. And San Francisco mayors have been tied to him from Moscone to Willie Brown, and his service has just moved me and many others. And I'm grateful for the opportunity to serve, and I'm grateful to come from a great man, and to have you all acknowledge him at the last meeting in my absence meant a lot. And I thought it was appropriate for me to say thank you for honoring him as we lay him to rest, with thousands that are already that will be in attendance to honor his legacy. So thank you.
So I know I was going to say something tonight. You mentioned earlier that we're going to end the meeting tonight in honor of one of our principals, and it's Harriet Jones. And I thought it's appropriate to say it while some people are still here. But anyway, it was a fantastic service that I had gone to. My daughter was in her class when she was a brand new teacher, as a kindergarten teacher at Thomas Edison, which is no longer in existence because it closed and went down to Westlake. And then Fernando was down there, and Fernando came up and took its place. So, but when my daughter was there, we weren't living in that neighborhood, and kids all walked to their schools. And so I put her there because I was working at Jefferson Elementary School District building. And it was easy for me to pick her up when kindergarten got out, take her home to my mom, and didn't miss any time at work. But she called me and took me aside and said, I'm kind of concerned about your daughter. And I asked her, oh my gosh, what did she do? Because I didn't think she did anything really bad, but who knows? And so she said, well, she doesn't live in the neighborhood. I wonder if she has any friends. And who does she play with on the weekends when most kids just go down the street around the corner and they have a friend? And I said, oh, she's so much involved in dancing and has lots of other friends that I never noticed her being lonesome. And as it turned out, there were 2 girls in that class. They were twins, and they were in her ballet class anyway. So, but what took me back was that here was a teacher who thought ahead, could this child not be receiving all of the warmth and stuff that all the other children would be getting? And I really thanked her for that. But I watched her throughout the years as she became, teaching other classes and then going to become a principal. And she was fantastic. And I just want to share that with everybody because some of you probably do not even know her. But I wanted to tell you that she was one of a kind. She was the best. And that's everything that was said that day was awesome. I know Brent was there, and he said some kind words also about her, and he knew her as well. So I just want to share that with you because she was very, very special. And I'm sure she's looking down on us right now. So thank you for letting me say that.
No, absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. So at this time, we will move on to correspondence and superintendent comments.
Yeah, I just want to share. On Monday, we had our annual Institute Day. This year, we held it at TR Policita School. It's a professional development day for staff in every capacity across our district. And thank you to Ms. McCulloch for planning that and setting it up and finding appropriate sessions for each of our staff members. I want to thank the staff at TRP for lending us their space, their rooms in their classrooms, and letting us use that for the day, and all the other staff who helped make it all happen. We had a wonderful keynote address by a woman from High Expectations, speaking about her work is around parent engagement and involvement, but her message was mostly around use the time that you have well, and change how you use your time, and don't focus on what you can't change. So that was it was an encouraging message, because everybody at this point in the year is extremely overwhelmed. And it was helpful to hear her remind us that we can only have control over a certain amount of things, and we can change what happens in that space. So that was encouraging.
Thank you. Administrator comments?
Good evening.
Just passing.
Today.
No, I'm passing.
All right.
The ladies pass.
Yeah, quick. I had a great time last night. I went with Lisa Zamiga, the director of the preschool program, to Skyline College for a recruitment fair called Careers with Children. And we were looking to recruit preschool assistants, after-school assistants, and our other classified instructional assistants. So it was really great to see the enthusiasm going on, all the youth going on. We got some really good leads, and saw a few of my former students, which was really great. And I just want to thank Ms. Amiga for her hard work, because she's got a lot of ball she's juggling with the different programs she's in charge of. And also, we're setting up a relationship with the early childhood education program down there to get their students to come and do some observations, volunteer, subbing, and then pathway to recruit them to teach as well. Also, I want to thank our school administrators. It's the week of the school administrator, and so we were treated to a very nice breakfast from our colleagues in the district office, but I want to thank all our colleagues out there. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Valenti. Now, persons wishing to address the board, this portion of the agenda is available for individuals to comment on or address the board on any issue that is under the board's jurisdiction and not on the agenda. And the maximum time allowed for any speaker is 2 minutes. And we do have a speaker card from Heather Morgan and Stacy, I'm so sorry, Galdamas from Think Together Reps. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. So close. Well, my name is Heather Morgan. I've met some of you before. I'm a quality assurance coach with Think Together, and I wanted to introduce you to our new general manager, Stacy Galdamas. I'm still Galdamas. She's the new general manager of our Bay Area region of Think Together, and we wanted to just formally thank you for your partnership and continued partnership of our after-school programs that we currently serve at Westlake Elementary, FDR, TRP, and Garden Village. And it's just an honor to serve the community and to continue to watch students grow and flourish in our programs. And we really want to address the board and really just share out some activities that we have going on in the month of October. So we have a Lights On After School event, which is a nationwide event that after-school program providers participate in to kind of highlight the after-school, literally having the lights on after school and providing academic and social emotional support for the students. So Think Together does a lot of things. We have a safe place for our kids, but we help them academically, socially, emotionally. We're also kind of doing some innovative projects with robotics and coding. So we're all including that in our program model. And we really just wanted to invite you to one of our sites that is having a big event for our Lights On at Garden Village Elementary. And that's on October 25th at 4 p.m. It will start off in the multi-purpose room and kind of showcase the different activities we have in our program, highlighting our after-school program. And we just had a flyer and wanted to just share out our activities for you and hope to see you all there.
Yes, thank you. We just wanted to thank you for your partnership. Like she mentioned, I just relocated up here 2.5 months, but I'm really excited to be working out here in the Bay Area region and to be a part of your district. Thank you so much. We'll
See?
give you guys some flyers
Thank
and
you.
hope to see you there.
Thank you very much.
Where are the flyers? At the flyers.
All right. Thank you again, Think Together. So at this time, we will move on to our general functions, and we are now looking at our consent agenda. So I wanted to see if we have a motion to approve that, or if we have any items that need to be discussed. Otherwise,
I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Oh. So what's,
I think Ms. Brusuela's looking over
I was,
item
number D,
D,
13D.
13D.
Wasn't quite sure what that meant. Confirm direction.
So 13D is clarification of direction to seek applicants for boards, appointee, and/or / personnel commission.
What says okay, will confirm direction to administration to seek applications. So is that just saying what we did already?
The purpose it's on there is I needed board action to do that. There was conversation and there was no motion and no vote. And so I need board action on that. So this is just clarifying it.
I'm questioning why we need board action. Because it's never been done before in all my years of being here since
Okay.
1960.
We had a discussion with someone at the county office, and they said that the board take action. So they gave very clear direction. I understood their direction. You can see our minutes, but there was no action. So we're doing it just to have board action.
They've never said that to us before.
Well,
But that's
yeah,
okay.
that's
Just
okay.
want-
It's on
I
there
want
now.
a
Yeah.
clarification.
Yeah.
It's like, what?
Did you need more information on this, Trustee Brusuela?
No,
or did you want it removed from
I
the
will
consent?
be discussing this with, finding out if every other district is following this, that, because it should have been brought to our attention from the county if they have made some new recommendation to do this. It's never been done in this district, ever, since 1967. So I mean, I couldn't understand this. Anyway, enough.
Is the action, is just us voting?
You know, we always direct the superintendent.
I'm just asking the question. Is action just us?
Yes.
What he's saying, we should have made a
confirm.
vote to
You're
do it.
voting to clarify that that's the direction that was given and provided to administration.
Yeah, but, I mean, that sounds like somebody didn't understand the direction. Never mind. I will
I understood
look
it.
into it more deeply. I just find it ridiculous, so that's all. Sorry for my comments.
So did you want to keep it on the consent agenda, or are you
I
asking
just
removal of
don't
it?
understand why it's here.
It's already
Okay.
been discussed.
And it's, excuse me?
No, I'm just saying that it's been
I
discussed.
don't really, I want to hear a debate to what I'm saying. I'm saying this has never been done before, and I'm
Understood.
questioning it, and I have the right to do so, please.
Understood.
Okay, I don't need to have debate on it.
Understood.
So, okay. Getting the last word
Okay.
all the time.
Okay, Ms. Brusuela, I just want to make sure too that, so it's either, do you want it to stay on the consent agenda? Would you like it removed for further
No, I'm afraid if I
discussion?
vote no, people are going to think I didn't want to do it. I'm saying it didn't have to be here. We gave direction as far as we weren't doing, we made it clear what we wanted to do, and then I find it hard to believe it would come back on this agenda to say this when it's already been passed out to everybody. So why are we taking action on this when it's already been out? It's already been advertised.
But I think it's because we had a motion and then it just stalled.
Yeah, so that's
No,
my
we
understanding.
just didn't do that one part of that motion, but it was discussed, that night it was discussed to do it this way. Okay, so, fine. It should be written someplace so everybody knows that that is now a new policy.
So I will make the ask, though. My understanding, because I was not at the last meeting, my understanding of this item is that the superintendent and administration want to confirm the direction. So if there was no clarity, I think it's important that whatever the position of a board member may be, I think it's important that there is clarity. That's how I understand. That is clarity around the direction of this, seeking applicants for the board.
The direction was clear to
personnel.
me and to administration. However, it was not clear for board minutes. And so that's where we needed that for
Okay.
board minutes. We needed action for that, so
Okay.
thank you.
Then I would suggest in the future that when it's an item, that it be on there so that it's not a one way to do business. And it would be clarified that you're going to be advertising for something like this, rather than do it backwards. So if you understand what I mean? Okay, so just leave it like it is, after all. If someone didn't understand what was going on, fine.
So we will keep this on the consent agenda?
That's fine with me.
Okay,
Can I get,
thank you. Do you have a
Makes no
question
sense at
can
all.
I just get clarification on an item?
On that 13D still?
No,
Or a
something
different
different.
item? Okay.
Which item?
Which item are you looking at right now?
10E?
9E or?
10E.
10E.
Are they appealing to us or no?
No, this is, the board is the only one who can take action to expel a student. So this is the board action on that. And it says an expulsion that is immediately suspended. And, okay? Yeah.
So it's already been done and we're approving it, right?
Correct.
Do you have clarification on that one? Okay. Do we have any other questions on any other items?
Well, since we're talking about starred items, I just think there's, the reason for putting a star on the item is when it's routine type of items. At least that's my understanding when I read definition of what you do when you star an item. And I say star, that's what we call it. But, but sometimes there's items that should be addressed, and I know we can take it off, but I think there's times when the public reads this, they may not fully understand what some of the items are, and therefore, I think we need to be careful how many times we put a star on all these items.
I want to thank you, Trustee Brizuela, because I think that speaks to transparency.
That's right.
And I think it's important that if board members have items that are on the consent agenda, that we have an opportunity when we are reviewing our agendas packets, that we should definitely make note of those and communicate that so that we have an opportunity to discuss it here, and or maybe it is something that needs to be possibly removed before here, and we can always make those amendments. But I do want to say that we should be working as a collective, so we definitely want to embrace transparency. So again, I want to reiterate, it's important that we have these discussions in an open dialogue and that we continue to be respectful when we have these conversations amongst ourselves and as well as the administrators and the public, that we should be modeling that. I just really want to be firm on that. I know that we're very passionate about this work. But I want to ask then, moving forward, we have a motion. Are there any other items?
Wait, can I just
Sure.
piggyback
On E?
on what you said?
Yes.
I mean, we're having a discussion, so let's do it. I've had people ask me, why is there a star on one item but not another when they're relatively the same? And so it's like, an example would be under, say, certificate personnel. We don't say nothing. We put a star on resignation and hiring and all this stuff, but we don't do it on the retirement. Yet I know that is that we ask for a resolution be prepared in their honor. But nevertheless, sometimes we don't. Sometimes we have a star in it, and I can go back and show you other times when it's there. But I think we need to be consistent if something is really very, very minor or very routine. But I just think we need to be careful how many things we put on, because when it's not about us, it's about the public that reads it. And if they read it, it's almost an assumption that it's not, it's a done deal, that you put the star on there. You're blanked out on me. But anyway, so I just, since we're talking about it, I bring it up.
Madam President, I'd just like to clarify, though, that we have the, we can at any time ask for a consent agenda item to be taken off.
No.
Any board member
Right.
can do that at any time.
But you heard what I'm saying, it appears that we've made our mind up on something, that it's very routine, and some items are not as routine as they are, especially when we come to something, when there's a big cost of spending, which I'm sure that you've noticed that a few times yourself. So that's for all of that, since we got on the subject. And maybe we can get together as a subcommittee and talk about what we feel is the best way to be consistent in what we're doing.
So before we move on, I do want to actually pull that item out that maybe I'd like to request of the superintendent. I know that we have other things that we said we might discuss at a future special meeting. I think maybe if we could add this to that discussion when we talk to protocol and process of start items and consent agenda items. But right now, I'd
Yes,
like to move forward.
That could be addressed, yeah.
Yeah, at another time. But I want to right now move forward on the consent agenda motion that's on the floor. If we do not have any other items that need to be discussed and/or be considered to be removed at this time. So we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. All those in favor, we have roll call.
Mr. Ali?
Aye.
Mrs. Brizuela?
Aye.
Ms. Manio?
Aye.
Mr. Koo?
Aye.
Ms. Leah Inga Anuai?
Aye. Thank you. Okay. Moving forward to item 9D, we have BB 9100, Board Bylaw, Annual Organizational Meeting. And this is just a discussion around reviewing this board bylaw to discuss any changes desired and direct administration to return with revised version of 9100 if needed for approval at a future meeting. So this is just a discussion. The floor is open. This is an item that we have discussed in the past. So it's just being brought up right now if it's something we want to consider that might need to be changed. And if not, we can agree on that as well. But the floor is open. If we have any comments. We can also keep it the same if that's the want. Trustee Ali, any comments? No?
No, I don't have any comments.
Trustee Busuela, do you have a comment?
I do, but I'm not
Okay.
prepared for it this evening, so
Okay.
I'll bring
Would
it
you
up
like
at
to-
another meeting.
Would you like then to discuss this? Okay.
I just have to say my husband had surgery today, and he also had surgery last week, and he's going to have surgery again next Friday. And I wasn't able to delve into that one. It's important that I do so.
Okay.
So.
Okay. So noted. Does anyone else have a comment on this item? Okay, so it has. Okay, it has been asked to be tabled. I will ask for the motion for that to be tabled, but I also want to ask, especially considering that this is aligned with our upcoming reorganization, my hope is that we might be able to delve into it before then, and if not, that's just a special ask to see if we could do that, considering we're approaching that time of the year. So do we have a ask? Do we have a motion?
I make a motion that we table item 9D, the BB 9100 annual organization meeting, and that we do it in a timely manner before our meeting, our annual meeting.
Do we
That's
have-
not until December, right?
I think, where's it?
Yeah, December.
Yeah. Do we have a second?
Second?
We have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
I didn't hear anything from you two, yes or no?
I think we had aye. We have now 9E, setting annual governance meeting training date. And this is also something we had discussed before. The governing board annually schedules a meeting to review current and establish new protocols, norms, as well as discuss other issues relating to governance. Due to high demand for services, CSBA, our past facilitator, only has January 5th, 2019 available. Fagan, Friedman, and Fullfrost, a firm specializing in education law and related services, also has a governance facilitation team that can conduct a training on January 12th or February 9th. The administration recommends the board select from the available dates to set the governance meeting training date.
I have a question on this
Sure.
one.
We have a question from Trustee Buswella.
What is the cost on doing this, with CSBA doing it and then this other team doing it?
They're approximately the same, both.
Exactly, do we know?
I do not have the exact cost, but they go around $3,000 for the day, counting travel and lodging and food and for the facilitator.
So a total price that we would have to pay, as an example?
Probably including the breakfast and the lunch, around $3,500.
So
Definitely.
So we have the breakfast and lunch too, so.
Yes.
We're getting it anyway, so
Yeah.
one extra person isn't a big cost, but are both of them, both groups charging the exact same amount?
I said I did not have that information with me right now.
Because I would like to stay with CSBA, if that's the case. I don't know if everybody can make it on the 5th of January, but it's been my recollection that when we have somebody outside of CSBA, it usually costs more. So I just want to know. I don't want to spend more for something that we can get from CSBA, that they do a great job.
Yeah, so the reason we searched another firm was because they only had one date until like April or May or something, which is a little bit later than we would want for an annual meeting. So it's up to the board if the date works.
Is there a timeline on this? I mean, considering we're still a ways out, but do they, I mean, I'm guessing they might be.
Yeah, like I mentioned, CSBA, that's the only date they had available, and they're penciling us in right there. The alternative also are penciling us in for those dates because they're getting requests for dates, so I asked them to reserve them until tomorrow, and I'd get back to them. So it's up to the board. The 5th is at the end of the winter break. If folks have kids that are in school, they may still be gone that weekend and come back on Sunday night. So it is that Saturday before we get back to school. That's why it was, if it had been, any other Saturday in January, it might have worked, but I knew that one has that special. And I know folks sometimes like to travel post-Christmas, post-New Year's, and are not always back. So it's up to the board to discuss and talk and let me know.
Yeah, the January 5th doesn't work for me.
Well, January 12th doesn't work for me, and February 9th is not going to work for me because we won't be in town.
I'm also, if we're going to continue to do this, I would rather stick with the same facilitators as well. I don't know anything about this other agency, so I think we would lose some of the momentum. Yeah.
Is there another later date that we can seek out from CSBA then?
We will see how far out and bring that back.
Okay. Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, and we only checked with the one facilitator that seemed to work really well with our team. I didn't check about the other facilitator that worked with us that one year that seemed like it didn't connect well with how you're used to working. So we could ask if there's perhaps a third option.
Okay. Thank you. So we will wait to hear back.
As I know this is an action, do we need to action?
It's just discussion, right?
It would have been an action if you took an action, if you decided something. We didn't decide anything, so it just gets no motion or we could table to a future meeting, I think is probably appropriate.
So we can take action when you come back with maybe some more alternative dates? Okay, thank you. Now we move on to 9F, which is 2018-19 CSEA Chapter Number 233, Negotiations Proposal, Sunshine, and Schedule of Public Hearing. A public hearing will be held on October 24th to receive public input on the CSEA Chapter Number 233, Negotiations Proposal for the 2018-2019 school year. CSEA is proposing to open negotiations on Article 5, Wages, Article 6, Health and Welfare, and Article 8, Hours and Conditions of Employment. The administration recommends acknowledging the receipt of and direct sunshining and distribution for public review, the negotiations proposal for 2018-2019 by CSEA Chapter 233 as required by the Road Act. So this is an action item. Do we have any questions? Otherwise, I'd like to ask for.
Just setting the date for the public hearing, so, and sunshining what the proposal is.
So I move that we have a public hearing on October 24th to receive public input on the CSEA Chapter Number 233 negotiations for the 2018-2019 school year.
I'll second the motion. Are we doing it together?
You guys are in sync. We have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And this is also aligned, item G, 2018-2019 JSED counter proposal to CSEA, chapter number 233, Sunshine, and scheduled a public hearing. And the public hearing will be held also on October 24th on JESD's counter proposal to CSEA, which is as required by the Rhoda Act. So do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Now moving on to educational and student services. Thank you, Ms. McCulloch. We are now looking at California Assessment of Student and Performance in Progress, our CASP. The administration will share results of the 2017-2018 California Assessment of Student Performance in Progress for grades 3 through 8.
All right. Good evening.
Good evening.
So attached to the board agenda is the report. So I have just pulled a couple of the data slides to share with you tonight to highlight our progress and what we're working on. And so just to orient you, especially to our new board member, what is CASP? It's the California Assessment of Student Performance in Progress. I always joke that we love our acronyms, so that's one of many. It is an online assessment that is administered to 3rd through 8th grade students. It's also administered to 11th grade students, but we don't have that grade in our district. It is online. It's English, language, arts, and math. And they have added recently the California Science Test. It's online as well for 5th through 8th grade. Last year was a field test, so they tested everyone. They are not giving results on those, but they are planning to give results after this school year's administration of the CAST, or Science Test. So we'll be able to report on those next year for the first year. How we receive reports, we receive individual student reports. So there's a little screenshot sample. So students that are in the 5th grade will see 3 years of data, 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade, and so on. And so you'll see multiple years of data. Most students received their scores in early September, but they did trickle in as they were scoring reports. It took this California Department of Education, or CDE, a little bit of time to get some. We actually got some this last week that we've been sending out, mailing out to families. So these results, they are actually currently shared on the website, casp.cde.ca.gov, so you can take a look to see district, state, and school site reports. And so I'll be sharing some of that with you in future slides. And how we show scores is a range of 2,100 to 2,800. 2,100 is usually in the 3rd grade level. 2,800 would be in the 11th grade level, etc. And so that's for each of the English language arts and math content areas. So it is reported there's really 9 data points on that report that is received by the families. There's overall scores in English language arts and math, and how they label it is a 4-level proficiency. So level 4 is exceeded the standard, level 3 is met, level 2 is nearly met, and level 1 is not met. And then they also dive a little deeper. So English language arts has 4 claims. They have reading, writing, listening, and research and inquiry. And they have 3 proficiency levels. So percent above standard, and there's at or near standard, and then below standard. And math has 3 claims: concepts and procedures, problem solving and modeling and data analysis, and communicating reasoning. So that you can go a little deeper, but they intentionally didn't give you too much information because they don't want us teaching to the tests. They want to just give us the overall results. And so just some things to remember when we're looking at these results. We can look at year-to-year comparisons, but it gives us an opportunity to see which students need extra support, if there's any gaps in our curriculum, and we've noticed that with our math, which is why we have a new curriculum now. And then also if there's areas that maybe we need to provide professional learning for our staff. I just wanted to remind you that this is just one point of data in our district plan, our LCAP. We also are looking at chronic absenteeism, we're looking at school climate, suspension, we're looking at our English learner assessment. And so there's all sorts of indicators now that we're looking at. And so this is just one of many measures. So if we take a look at the last 4 years, this test has only really been in place for 4 years. And so you can see in English language arts, we've had a little bit of ups and downs, but we're on the rise. And then in math, we've been pretty stagnant. But like I said, we just adopted a new curriculum we're rolling out this year in mathematics in TK through 8th grade. And so we're really excited to see, you know, we need to change this. And so that was one of the reasons why we really wanted to make sure we had a new curriculum coming through, and we're already seeing some progress. This is a chart that comes out of our district warehouse, our data warehouse, and so this shows by grade level. And so you can see in each kind of window, there's 3rd grade, and you see English language arts and mathematics for the last 4 years. So you can see 3rd grade, 4th grade, and 8th grade were on the rise. And other grades are kind of the ups and downs. And so we're always monitoring different grade levels. We're monitoring at the site level, the classroom level, and just seeing where we can make improvements, trying to figure out what are some areas that we need to focus specifically for certain students as well as student groups across grade levels. So the next couple slides, we're going to focus on English language arts. So I'm on slide 8. And so we're going to first start by looking at the results by school site. So you can see on the far left side, JESD, that's our district result. And then the percent you can just see is this year's percent. And then I have it alphabetical. The first 11 are our elementary sites, and the last 3 are our middle school sites. And so you can see the 3-year trend. We have ups and downs as well over the last 3 years in English language arts. If you take a look at slide 9, this is looking at English language arts still, and this is by our ethnic groups, our ethnicities. And so on the bottom, it shows you which ethnicity is showing the last 4 years on the bar graph. And then in parentheses with a star, that's the number of students that were tested this last year. So you can just see population size. And so most of our student groups are on the rise. We had 2 student groups that saw a dip, and that was our African American student group and our Pacific Islander student group. And so those 2 groups had actually a significant change in their population. So our African American students increased by 10%, and our Pacific Islander student group decreased by 30%. And so whenever you have a small population and have a significant change, you are going to see changes, significant changes in the percentages. It is something that we are definitely paying attention to. We want to know who the students are so that we can better support them, so that we can see them be successful in their schooling. So on slide 10, this is question.
Can I ask on this one, as I'm looking at the figures, what is when you see the asterisk in parentheses, What does it mean by 1,363?
So yeah, that's what I was just talking about. That's the number of students that were tested in that group for
Okay.
this last year, so that you knew the size of the population of students.
Okay, so.
So
but
for
when you see
example, all-
Pacific Islanders,
Uh-huh.
it's only 37.
Yes, in 3rd through 8th grade.
Okay. I'm trying to discover why the pillars are not falling in line with the greater number.
The number on the bottom is the number of students.
Yeah.
The bar graph is the percent of students that met standard each year. So the orange is 2014-15, the blue is 2015-16, the percent of students that met standard in English language arts. Sorry, I didn't say that earlier. And then 27-18 is green, and that was this last year. So you can see in the pink, you can see the numbers, so you can see the last 2 year comparison.
So some are doing better than others, and some are not doing good?
Yeah, so if you're talking about Pacific Islander, 35% of the 37 students met standard.
Okay.
The previous year, we had, I wrote it down, how many students there were.
It was more?
54 Pacific Islander students. And so 39% of those 54 students met standard last year. So we had a decrease of 17 students.
This year?
In 17-18. And it could just mean that we had a high population of 8th graders in the previous year that moved on.
I just wish there's a better way of saying kind of why, you know what I mean?
Right, that's what we're diving into. We want to know why.
Doesn't look good when you see the numbers like that. So
And we're actually involved in looking at improvement science, which is a process to get to the why. What is the root cause? And so we're actually doing that with all of our sites, with looking at our data and saying, okay, we see this is not okay. What are we going to do about it?
Yeah.
And we try to figure out, well, what is the cause? And a lot of times it's looking at specific students, especially when it's a small number. That's 1 or 2 students per site.
I know.
And so what is happening? And
yeah.
same with our African American students.
Right.
What is happening with those students? Why are they not performing in our schools?
My feeling is if it's a small group, why aren't they able to exceed?
Right,
You know.
and it might not be necessarily academic factors that are affecting academics. And so we have to look at that too. So we try to
Okay.
look at the whole,
I didn't
that's
see.
why.
I was looking for the why as I was trying to
And
understand.
I don't have
this.
an answer to the why. If I did, these scores would be out through the roof, right?
Yeah. Well, maybe
we're
we'll get there.
yeah, but we're noting exactly what you're noting, and that's what we're
Okay.
paying attention to.
Thank you.
So on slide 10, this is our English learners, our students with disabilities, and socioeconomically disadvantaged students. So this is another kind of population of students. I kept the all students so you can just see the comparisons. Our English learners, you can see from the last couple years, we're seeing a rise. We also see we're seeing a rise in our reclassified English learners. However, we didn't reclassify as many last year because of the new LPAC assessment. So that could be a false positive. We don't know. We're holding tight on that, so we don't want to celebrate too much until we know for sure. And then the next one, Ever EL, that's a new category. It's only been the last 2 years, where it is following students who have at one time been identified as an English learner. So whether they've been reclassified or not, they're in that Ever EL category. And so we also have a bump. So you can just see across the way, I'm excited to see our students with disabilities have increased since the last, and we were stagnant for so long. So
that's
that is it's nice to see that rise. Mm-hmm. So it's free and reduced lunch, mainly. I think some of it is parent education, but mainly free and reduced lunch. I think the CDE also looks at parent education as well. So now we're switching gears to math, and so we're going back to looking at by site. And so the same sites that you saw the dips are the same sites that saw it in math as well. So they're looking at their data, saying what's going on, why, using that improvement science process to figure that out. And then if you look at slide 12, this is our ethnic groups again. And so you can see, you might notice that some of the populations, especially for our Hispanic Latino, increases from when you looked at the ELA, and that's because students who are identified as newcomer, they've been in the country less than a year from when the testing started, they only are exempt from taking the ELA, English Language Arts. They have to take the math. And so a lot of times that's where our guess is that's why the scores in math are lower than English Language Arts. So you can see student groups throughout as well. Our Hispanic Latino student dipped a little bit, and so we want to look into why that is as well. It could be our newcomers. Maybe we have more newcomers. We actually had less newcomers. We had, I wrote it down. Oh, I didn't write it down. It's in there. I think it's like 16 less newcomers than last year. We also have on slide 13, that's the same English learners, students with disabilities, and socioeconomically disadvantaged. And so you can see we're seeing similar data. All right. I wanted to give you a chance to look at it. All right, so what does the data tell us? We have a gap. We know this, and we need to continue identifying the root causes for this gap. Why are we seeing this gap? However, our students are maintaining progress. They're not losing ground, which is good. They're moving up their grade levels, and because as they move, they're still learning more. They're still maintaining. They're not losing ground. We just want them to gain more ground. And so what we're really focusing on is building this multi-tiered system of support, really making sure that the academic and the behavior systems are in place, because we know those are definitely related and connected, so that all students can learn. We want to make sure that we support our staff to make sure that they're ready and prepared for their classrooms, especially with new curriculum. And then we implemented a universal screen last year called FastBridge, which in our reading, and this year we're doing it with math as well. And so it's 3 points in time in the year, and I'll share data as we have more comparative data on how our progress is. So far, we're seeing a bump from last year, 4% increase in English Language Arts at least. So we hope that continues. And with new curriculum, we're hoping that that will also produce more results. And our staffs are also looking at ways to improve and using the system of improvement of, okay, what are some root causes, and really diving into their data and doing more frequent progress monitoring of their student achievement instead of just waiting one time in the year. We do it multiple times throughout the year so that we can say, okay, we can catch it early, we can give that support. They mentioned Lexia in the America Scores group. Lexia is a intervention program, an online intervention program that we're using in all of our schools for TK through 5th grade to support reading in the classroom. And so that's implemented new this year. So we have a lot of things that we're doing this year that we hope that next year we're going to see some bumps in scores. You can see the results yourself on the CDE website. And there's a lot more in the report, but those are just some highlights. So I'll answer any questions.
So on the page 14, this is what this data tells us. It looks like math is sort of fairly stabilized.
We have new curriculum this year.
And that's probably what I was going to ask you.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the other one seems to go
Well,
up
wait,
and then down and
this
then
is
back
not
up.
the new curriculum is not why we're flatlining, because the new curriculum was just introduced
Oh, so
this
it's
year.
not a part of this?
No.
Okay.
We're hoping that we have new curriculum because we've been flatlining, and we're hoping that a new curriculum really increases our scores.
Okay. Okay. I was wondering if we did something a little different.
We are doing something different, yeah. And same with English Language Arts, a new intervention program, and we'll be needing to we adopted in the middle school English Language Arts this year, and then we're going to need to adopt next year because we need to make sure we increase those scores and are aligned to the Common Core.
So when you're talking about a needle, is that
you know the needle when you're looking at?
Yeah. Oh, okay.
It's just more of a phrase.
Okay. So is that meaning that students are maintaining progress, but not moving the needle?
Meaning they're still they moved from one grade to the next and kept where they are. They didn't drop down from their grade level, but they're not making significant growth. We're not moving the needle to higher
I'm
performance.
just making sure that's what I'm understanding.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll change that next
Thank
time,
you.
make it clear.
Okay.
Do we have any other questions?
But thank you, thank you.
Yes. So, Ms. McCulley, so how are the local control funding formula funds being used to support the lowest performing groups?
So we have, the supplemental and concentration grant funds are, we have many things. We have funding for sites to use directly toward those services. So for our English learners, for our low-performing students, a lot of times they have, you know, an intervention teacher or a targeted instructional grouping teacher, TIG teacher, to support those students, or a student support resource teacher, CERT we call them, to support students that are needing those additional supports. We also have additional counselors for students, because a lot of times behavior affects their learning, and that might be what they need, is they need some more mental health, social, emotional learning supports. And so each site received funding per child, because they have, every site has different needs based on their students, so they determine what their students need. Sometimes it's tutoring, sometimes it's different, you know, after-school programs, during school programs, et cetera.
Okay.
And I know we're doing a lot more, that's just what's coming to my mind right now.
Oh, yeah, no, that's a good list. So, and then if gaps have narrowed or widened within our district, what additional information would help our governance team better understand why?
The gaps, why the gaps exist?
If they narrow or they widen?
That's a great question. Well, that would be something, well, we have our LCAP task force that we are looking at those gaps. And we were going to meet last month, but the state delayed the release, so we postponed it. We are meeting in 2 weeks, actually. So we're gonna look at the gaps and see why. And also you wanna look at not just the academic, but then the suspension data and chronic absenteeism, because a lot of times those are related. And so our data warehouse system called Data Zone gives us those at-risk indicators. And so we can look at specific students, you know, we can look at specific schools and see what is the root cause, what is causing. So for example, our African-American students and our Pacific Islander students on the graphs were the ones that, you know, are not performing as well, or they dropped. And so we want to look at maybe those students to see, you know, what is their attendance, what's going on with those students, and, you know, how is their performance in school, you know, on those, our universal screens that happen 3 times a year, and even on our weekly Lexia assessments and things. So it's really kind of diving into the data and using our LCAP task force to look at those gaps and where they are, kind of at the, you know, macro level, and then you have to get down to the micro and look at particular, know your students, who are they?
Okay. So when is that task force meeting?
That is October, it's always the last Thursday of the month.
Okay, last Thursday.
So whatever day of the week that is, or whatever day that is, I think it's the 25th? 25th?
Where will that be?
And it will be at the district office, and we meet 3:30 to 5:30.
3:30, I'll try. All right, I have a few more questions, sorry everyone.
Yeah, no, it's important.
So are there schools within our district that have achieved better performance for similar student groups? And how can we learn from what these schools have achieved?
Within our district?
Yes.
Yeah, if you go back to, well, you have to look at English language arts, but you can already just see some schools, like TRP had a jump in English language arts. You know, you can just see the different schools looking at this graph, and so that's what the task force looks at. We look at not only gaps amongst our student groups district-wide, but also we look by school site. And so we're looking at that data, and then the plan is to go to those sites and ask, what are you doing? What do you attribute to these results?
Yes.
So then we can learn from them.
Okay, you like
That's what the
these
task-
answers? These are some good answers, right?
That's what the task force actually started discussing last year, and then we got wrapped up in actually approving the LCAP, and so we were going to start this year with that.
Okay. 2 more questions. How can we use this information to inform the LCAP? Well, you kind of just answered that.
Yeah.
How can we share these results with the community in ways that will increase stakeholder engagement, involvement, and support for student achievement efforts?
Yes, so in January, we're going to have our, it's not the broader community, but through our instructional leadership team meeting with our principal and 2 teacher leaders, and then we invite parent leaders. And so we start looking at this year's LCAP and we look at the metrics from our LCAP. So a lot of this data is included in the LCAP metrics. It's also the dashboard, which in our November meeting, you'll see the California dashboard, which looks at all the indicators. And so I'll be showing you that in November. However, that's when parent leaders, teacher leaders, admin leaders, district leaders, we all come together, we look at our data, and then we look at our actions in our LCAP and say, are we seeing improvement based on our data? What actions help support our data and help support our students? Are there actions that are not? And then we decide, should we keep an action? Should we omit an action? Should we revise an action? So we've been doing that for the last, I think since we started with the LCAP process. We are now involving kind of a leadership team to do that together, and then we bring it to our Parent Involvement Advisory Committee meeting. We bring it to our DLAC, and then we bring it to just different groups. And then I also inform the board and public during those, after those times as well.
Right.
And each school does their own, well, through their school site plan. They look at their site data, they look at how it works with the district, compares to the district data.
Thanks for this, and this definitely helps us. It informs us, what we need to do to make decisions to help the district. And I just want to reiterate what you said earlier, though, that this is just one metric. This is one way of looking at performance and achievement. And but thank you for all the hard work that you've done.
Yeah. Any other comments or? Yeah.
Questions?
I just had one quick question, because I know it was mentioned before with regards to ethnicity, and I look at the 2 or more. My question is, I know that it was mentioned at a meeting a long time ago when sometimes you have a student that may be 2 or more races and they just indicate one. I'm just wondering if they are 2 or more races. I will say that because I can speak specifically to the Pacific Islander community, and I can say probably most of those that are identified as Pacific Islanders in the community, I probably know almost every student that's in that count, and I will say that majority of them are half. And so I'm just interested to know, I mean, they're identified here as Pacific Islander, but I do know in having conversations that sometimes families are not marking a Pacific Islander, but they're marking something else. So I'm just wondering how that's tracked.
It's selected when a student enrolls, when a parent marks.
So even if they are, it's just based on what they're marking?
When they first
Okay.
enroll.
Okay, even though we may be aware that
We
they may.
can't decide what
Right.
someone else's
Okay.
ethnicity is.
Yeah,
So for that 2 or more races, it doesn't matter what race it is?
Right. It's
Just all in lump sum.
you have multiple races.
okay. Yeah, I mean, because I see it that way across the county, specifically to the Pacific Islander community. So I always thought that was interesting to see that sometimes they're not marking it, being 2 races, they're marking 1. So I always feel like that data sometimes is collected differently, so I don't know what that looked like for us.
And it's self-reporting. It's what you identify
Right.
yourself as.
Right.
And so that's the data we
Okay.
collect.
Okay, thank you.
So,
Like to see the number in that group increase over time, more and more families are, 2 or more races.
Yeah, thank you. I love how you're able to identify the indicators and figure out how to take those measures that provide extra support to some of the families and students that may need that. I think that's so important when speaking to school readiness. So thank you for all your hard work.
So-
Much appreciated.
but it kind of leaves me in the dark to say 2 or more. What is it? You know what I mean? Because that's important.
It's multiple races.
No, but I mean, is it,
You don't know.
if we knew what it was, we might be able to put it in a
Category or,
different category. But
but yeah,
We don't
self-reporting
have,
is
we can't
hard.
make
So
that choice for people.
so I was just interested. Thank you
Yeah.
for entertaining the question. Thank you again, Ms. McCullough. All right, so we now move on to 11, Business and Financial Procedures. And we are looking at C, Resolution Number 18-10-10. This is the resolution of the Board Trustees of the Jefferson Elementary School District approving amended and restated bylaws for the Jefferson Elementary School District Independent Citizens Bond Oversight Committee. And the administration recommends approval of Resolution Number 8-10-10, resolution of the Board of Trustees of the Jefferson Elementary School District approving amended and restated bylaws of the district's existing independent Bond Oversight Committee to also provide oversight for Measure T expenditures. So do we have any discussion and/or questions on item C? And if not, I'd like to ask for a motion.
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution number 18-10-10, resolution of the Board of Trustees of the Jefferson Elementary School District approving amended and restated bylaws for the Jefferson Elementary School District Independent Citizens Bond Oversight Committee.
Second?
We have,
So is there anything different in here? It's the same, right?
It's the same. It just broadens their scope to also include oversight over Measure T expenditures in addition to Measure I.
Say it again.
It broadens their scope to include Measure T expenditures.
Oh, okay. But I mean, it's all the same thing.
They function the same. They just needed to have a new charge.
Yeah. And are we keeping the same individuals?
The ones who are currently serving continue to serve. Yeah.
Thank you.
Some will likely be coming off in December, as they do.
thank you. Any other questions? If not, we have a motion and a second. Okay. All those in favor?
Do we have to do this by a resolution, no? Do we? Roll call.
Roll call?
Mr. Ali?
Aye.
Mrs. Brizuela?
Aye.
Ms. Manio? Mr. Koo?
Aye.
Ms. Leah Inga Anawai?
Aye. Thank you. We will move on to certificated personnel. Mr. Valenti, certificated retirement 2018-2019. And we have the administration recommends approval of the retirement request from Dr. Elaine Francisco, special education teacher, effective June 15th, 2019. The administration also requests an appropriate resolution be prepared commending Dr. Francisco for her years of service with the district. So, do we have any?
Well, I'd just like to say, she's been a great teacher and a great leader in putting so many things together for the parents and for the district, and she will be missed, but I think she'll probably come back and help anyway. And she also teaches at the college level as well, so she's very, very busy and a successful person. We're going to miss her. So I'd like to make a motion that we approve the retirement request from Elaine Francisco, special education teacher, effective June 15, 2019, and that an appropriate resolution be prepared commending Dr. Francisco for the many years of service with the district.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. All those in favor?
Did we forget to say how many years she's worked here? Don't we usually say how many years? Yeah.
Years of service.
Usually you say the years of service. For sure, I know that, but it would be nice to have it. I just realized it now. And yeah, it didn't stick out when I saw it before.
Yeah, that would be great if it could be included in her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we'll just say in the motion, and then maybe Maria can check and add it in, that for, and blank, blank, years of service, and you can put blank, blank in. Okay. That way the minutes will look nice.
Thank you. So we have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Congratulations to Dr. Francisco.
Yeah.
Definitely commend all of her service. She's been wonderful. She's been a teacher to my daughter as well, and yeah, she's definitely going to be missed, but I'm sure she's just going to be more busy than she is now.
Yeah.
I'm sure of it.
Yeah, she sure will.
So we now look at classified personnel, and we're looking at retirement for the administration. Recommends approval of the retirement request from the following classified employee and requests an appropriate resolution be prepared commending the employee for their years of service with the district. And we have instructional assistant, special education effective at Garden Village effective October 31st, 2018. Date of hire was August 28, 2002. And this is for Stephanie Trapolis. So do we have comments and a motion?
Okay, so we have, okay, never mind. I get it. We just, no comments.
The motion for retirement for Stephanie Trapolis.
I make a motion to approve the retirement request of Stephanie Tropolis for her, I was going to try to do some quick math, but for her many years of service. 16, looks like, yeah.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Tropolis, for your service. We are now looking at a resignation, and the administration recommends approval of the resignations from the following classified employees and requests appropriate resolutions be prepared commending those with 10 or more years of service with the district. And this is instructional assistant Daniel Webster, effective September 18, 2018, and date of hire was May 24th, 2006, for Flora Solomon, instructional assistant at Garden Village, effective September 21st, 2018, and date of hire was December 17th, 2002, for Cesar Luna, and office assistant at Westlake, effective September 28th, 2018, date of hire March 3rd, 2014, for Alela Cabilas. Yeah. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion that the administration recommends approval of the resignations for Flora Solomon, Cesar Luna, and Alila Cabilas, and that an appropriate resolution be prepared commending them for the years of service with the district.
Second the motion?
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. We are now looking at governance team member comments, reports, and reflection on board meeting guidelines. We will start with Trustee Ali.
I chose tonight that we will listen actively and openly, build upon the ideas of others, and look for common ground and paraphrase for understanding. And I believe we did that tonight.
Thank you. Trustee Brusuela.
Well, let's see. We'll keep our focus on the best interests of our students.
Thank you. Trustee Manio.
Yes, I chose number 1, to keep our focus on the best interests of our students. Definitely listening to the CASP report. It's just a kind of glaring display of our achievement gaps, even though they're already well known. But definitely keep that in my mind when we approve and discuss items to help our kids. And I also actually wanted to make a tiny announcement about a production going on October 27 at the Terra Nova Theater. It's called 12 Million, which I guess indicates the 12 million Filipino people scattered across the globe and our diaspora. I was requested to announce that to you all, since it is at Terra Nova. They did have to go through us to rent the space, so that's on October 27 from 6 to 8. Mm-hmm.
What's the time?
6 p.m.
Oh, 6 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
So is this a drama class, or is it, what kind of program is it?
It's a art performance piece, show, song, and film. So I'm assuming it's multimedia.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's a nice theater, dear.
Yeah, yes, it's brand new. Beautiful theater.
I'm sorry?
It's a beautiful theater.
Yeah, I've never been,
Oh, yeah.
so
It's
I'm
nice.
excited to go. Thank you.
Great.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing.
So,
Trustee Koo.
I selected we will keep our best interests of our students. And I thought we did that tonight.
Take this with them.
Will communicate openly and honestly, respect differences, deliberate, and address process. So as of right now, we don't have any persons wishing to address the board. And before we convene to closed session, we will close out our meeting with a moment of silence and adjourn in memory of Harriet Jones, a retired principal at Westlake Elementary School. And Ms. Jones was hired on August 31st, 1964. She was a longtime teacher and principal of the district. She began teaching in the district at Crocker Elementary in 1964 and retired in July 2001 as the principal of Westlake Elementary School. We now ask everyone to please join us in a moment of silence in her memory. Thank you. We will take a short recess before we convene closed session.